Do you fear that developing your voice technically will hinder your artistry or your uniqueness as a singer? Or maybe you are overly focused on vocal technique and almost it's become a little bit of a comfort blanket for you. And maybe you actually have a fear of really connecting and letting go when you sing. So don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell so you don't miss out on future videos. So my name is Anuska Taylor. I'm a professional singer, and I also train singers and speakers to become the master of their own voice and to express their brilliance. So in my experience of working with singers for over a decade, they often fall into two camps. So either they are overly focused on vocal technique, or they actually almost try and avoid vocal technique until something goes really wrong with their voice. So in this video, I want to talk about why you really need to be in both camps as a singer. So you want to be focused on vocal technique, but you also need to learn to let go when you sing. So I was inspired to do this video for you today because I'm actually currently in rehearsal for a number of live shows I have coming up next month. And I find if I'm not careful that I can fall into that camp of overly focused on vocal technique. And particularly with my background of having over 2 decades of studying and learning and teaching vocal technique, it becomes something that's very comfortable for me to stay in that space. And I've really had to learn to let go and really trust my voice in a performance situation. So firstly, what does someone that's overly focused on vocal technique look like? Well, often they're very in their head when they sing. They're very critical, they're very judgmental of themselves, they're constantly critiquing their voice. And really, they're not actually connecting to the song because they're more worried what people will think of their voice. Now, I do recognize in the early stages of learning anything new, we are in our head because particularly with the voice, we're trying to create new muscle memory, new patterns, new ways of doing things. So we do have to think about it and we do have to be in our head to some extent. However, what I mean in this situation really is often singers can get stuck here. And the vocal technique aspect really becomes a comfort zone for them because it's a way of avoiding really going into those difficult emotions, which, let's be honest, this is what most great music is written about. It's written about the darkest, the most difficult, the most painful emotions that we go through: grief, loss, heartbreak, anger, jealousy, all of those things, which most of us aren't going to be particularly joyful about going into those emotions. So, but as a singer, if we're singing about those types of things, we have to be willing to go there and be vulnerable. And that's what's really going to connect an audience to you when you sing. Now, on the flip side of this are singers that possibly write their own music, but also maybe just have a very distinctive style or a distinctive genre that they like to sing. And they deeply connect to this music. And you can hear it in their voice, and it's their heart and their soul is really connected to what they're singing. However, because often they haven't developed their voice technically, it's very limited. Not only in terms of if they're a songwriter, they write in a very limited range in their voice. I've seen this time and time again with songwriters. They may have limited dynamics. So they really have one way of accessing particular parts of their voice, and that's it, because they've never wanted to really develop their voice technically. So it really limits them creatively and stylistically with how they can actually perform these songs. So what developing your voice technically gives you is access to your full range, full dynamics, being able to pitch accurately. So you don't have fear around hitting notes. You just go for it because you trust that you've done enough work on your voice that you can get those notes. You have more agility and more flexibility. You have access to vibrato if you want to include that in your music. I often use the analogy of being a painter and having access to the full color palette versus maybe just 2 or 3 colors to paint with. So really, when you develop your voice technically, you're opening your voice up to its full potential. So you can basically choose how to sing a song versus I can only sing it this way because that's the only way I can hit that note in my head voice. Now, if you combine vocal technique and this deep soulful connection to the music and that vulnerability and connecting to the emotions in the song, that is for me when the magic happens with a singer. Because as an audience, we're captivated by this person, this singer. You're not limited by your voice because you know that you trust your voice and you can go where you choose to go. And you can really just focus on connection and delivery of the song and really performing it versus worrying about, am I going to hit that note? This is terrifying. I've got this big note coming up. What's going to happen? So you're really just totally immersed in the music and the song. And also, I think that the irony is actually when we all do, you might hit a bum note, your voice might crack. It really doesn't matter because the audience is now really engaged with you because you are engaged with the song. And they probably don't even notice the odd bum note here and there. So how much more free and unhindered and creative and soulful could you be with your singing if you combined this magic duo? If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe below and please share, please like, please comment. I love to read your comments and any thoughts or your own experiences with this. I would love to hear about it. Now, if you head to my website, anuskataylor.com, and you go to the online training tab, I have a free online 5-part mini video series for singers on how to hit the high notes with more confidence and less fear. So please check that out. It's completely free and you can just work through the little mini modules in there. But until next time, I will see you on my next video.